Several genres have been casualties of the complete and total collapse of the AA mid-budget market, but one loss hurts more than the most: the stealth game. You're free to disagree, but for my money, few things in gaming are as exhilarating as sneaking through a heavily armed labyrinth of death so cleanly, so expertly, that by the end, it's like you were never there to begin with. So, in hopes of bringing some attention to the genre and maybe giving newbies a recommendation or two, I figured we'd talk about the classics for a bit, starting off with the first Splinter Cell game, coming at us courtesy of Ubisoft, back when they still made good games. Plot-wise, Splinter Cell is your typical early 2000s political thriller. Some Bond villain in Eastern Europe decides to embrace the local tradition of becoming a violent dictator. This makes him the perfect test case for Third Echelon, a newly formed, ultra-secret NSA division focused on counterterrorism. Their main, and as far as I can tell, only field operative is Sam Fisher, an aging, cynical war dog played by the legendary Michael Ironside, whose voice sounds like it was forged in a steel mill. At first, Sam's mission is simple: find two missing CIA operatives embedded in the villain's government. But, as expected, things spiral into a much bigger conspiracy that could kick off an all-out war with the United States. If you see the name Tom Clancy on the box, you already know what to expect. Political intrigue, military jargon, tense conversations in dark rooms. It's the kind of story that's easy to follow, occasionally gripping, but not exactly mind-blowing. If you've seen The Hunt for Red October or any of the Jack Ryan movies, you know what to expect. That said, though the game tries to go for realism, it's a little funny that some random guy from Georgia is attacking US interests, including deploying troops on American soil, and doesn't immediately get a nuke dropped on his forehead. But honestly, the plot isn't what sticks with you. Sam is. He's ruthlessly efficient, perpetually tired, mildly sarcastic, and just human enough to feel real. He's not a quip machine, he's not an action hero. He's a professional who's been doing this stuff for way too long. Michael Ironside absolutely sells it, and Sam alone does a lot of the heavy lifting here, and he'd go on to become the face of the franchise. Those are my thoughts on the story. Let's talk about the gameplay for a bit. Splinter Cell is one of the most beloved stealth franchises out there, so did Ubisoft nail it right out of the gate? Not really, but they also didn't miss by much. At its core, the game has all the stealth staples: a visibility meter showing you how exposed you are, sound propagation based on movement speed and surface type, and a growing arsenal of gadgets designed to make guards deeply regret clocking in that day. And to be fair, the fundamentals work really well. The sight and sound mechanics are excellent, and the game revolves around Sam's iconic tri-vision goggles: normal, night vision, and thermal. Each has a practical use, such as thermal being able to reveal certain traps, so you'll be flipping between them constantly. It feels tactical, deliberate, and just plain cool. The gadgets are another huge highlight. By the later levels, Sam's carrying a veritable Santa sack of high-tech nonsense, and half the fun is figuring out creative ways to use it. Pro tip: shoot a remote camera at an enemy's head. You're welcome. There's also a great mechanic where you can grab enemies, hold a gun to their head, interrogate them for intel, or force them to open doors for you. It just feels awesome every time you do it. And now for the bad news. The controls kinda suck. You can blame the era, early 3D growing pains, or design experimentation, and sure, all of that's true, but it doesn't change the fact that the controls are weird and unintuitive. For instance, you want to make Sam move slower or faster? You're never gonna guess which key you have to hit, because it's not a key at all, it's the mouse wheel. It's also funny how the game aims for grounded realism, but here's Sam jumping his 40-year-old ass off of walls like he's Mega Man X. You do eventually adapt, but those early missions can be a bit tough. Definitely play through the training mission and try to get acquainted with the controls ASAP. Level design is another mixed bag. Levels often feature impressive set pieces and memorable encounters, but they're also pretty linear, usually giving you just one path forward instead of allowing for several different approaches. And while realism fits the tone, sometimes it works against the gameplay. What I mean is that a lot of levels just dump you into a completely normal-ass room, fill it with guards, and say, okay, sneak. Sometimes that's tense and rewarding, other times it's just frustrating. The game also has sections where it tries to become like a regular third-person shooter instead of a stealth game, and those ended up being my least favorite moments. That said, I have to admit it was pretty satisfying to finish these sections, then reload an old save and just plant wall mines where I knew all the enemies would go. Turned 5-minute encounters into 30-second ones, and it always felt amazing. My most used gadgets ended up being the diversion camera, air rounds, and sticky shockers, which made the submarine level at least tolerable. And apparently the PS2 version has exclusive levels. How are those? Does anybody know? Let me know in the comments. Difficulty-wise, the game is all over the place. Levels like the CIA HQ and Kalina Tech are absolute ballbusters, while later missions like the Chinese embassy felt comparatively smooth. A lot of this comes down to the problems I mentioned with level design and controls. Also, dogs in this game have straight up magical powers. I swear they can smell you from a different time zone. Visually, the game holds up surprisingly well. The realistic art direction fits the tone, and for a 2002 release, it still looks damn good, largely thanks to its excellent lighting engine. In that sense, it reminds me a bit of Fear. It's not like they individually animated every blade of grass or something, but the use of shadows is purposeful, artistic, and helps add a lot of texture to the world. Besides, in a stealth game, shadows matter. So, in closing, Splinter Cell has flashes of brilliance, but it doesn't quite reach legendary status. It's a must-play for hardcore stealth fans, but if you're a newcomer, I'd say you need some patience. As a matter of fact, I'd argue the sequels, Pandora Tomorrow and Chaos Theory, are probably a safer bet. This game doesn't always click, but when it does, it feels incredible. If you ever watched Steven Seagal blatantly tell completely factual stories about his military background and thought to yourself, man, I wish I could do stuff like that in a video game. I got just 2 words for you, friend. Splinter Cell. Anyway, those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next entry in this stealth marathon. Because next week, we're tackling another all-time classic, Hitman Contracts. See you there.